So Bobby asked me to do all this, and I willingly did it because the mission and the content was so important, and it did leave me depressed. Just to be frank about it, the things that were in that book stunned me, and I thought I was a battle-hardened, seasoned veteran. But what he compiled was amazing. So time went by, and he asked me to attend a fundraising rally because I had been, at this point, I'd been starting to speak out. And I think the Rogan thing had already happened, and the Brett Weinstein thing had already happened, and that whole ball was my censorship and all that crap. And so he asked me to come to a fundraising rally for CHD up in New England, which I gladly did. And in that context, he took me aside and shared some polling results that had been run surreptitiously, quietly, that were really encouraging. And he said, I'm thinking about running, but keep this under your hat. So I was kind of cone of silence there, but fascinated, and I encouraged him. And then later on, a mutual close friend, Gavin Debecker, who runs Debecker and Associates, this huge major security firm that
he's
does
impressive.
security for the likes of,
He's very impressive.
He does Bezos. He used to apparently do security for Musk, but Musk was basically uncontrollable, and he fired the client. That's a great story.
Wow. Okay.
And he initially bankrolled the super PAC for Kennedy's campaign. And before all that happened, Gavin came by our farm, I think with a couple of his kids, to visit us and the horses and hang out a little bit. And took Jill and I aside and said, hey, here's this new polling data. What do you think Bobby should do? And my comment, I'm just one of, I'm sure, 100 people that Gavin asked the question of, but my comment was, I think he has to run, and I don't think he has a moral choice, because it's the only way he's going to break through the firewall that they've erected around him in terms of communicating his message, what he's observing and experiencing. So time passes. There's a go decision. He invites me to the Boston announcement. And at that point, I had not really talked politics with Bobby. I, talked about the jab and the COVID crisis and the manipulations in the vaccine industry and this intelligence community and biodefense and all that kind of stuff, but I'd not really gone into his politics. And he rolls out this theme at the announcement in Boston, where he surrounds himself with, by the way, he has a very large extended family, and a number of his family, despite the press will never say this. If you listen to the press, you think that every one of his family members is shooting arrows at him. Yeah. That is absolutely not true. Kathleen Kennedy Townsend and the kind of insider hardcore demos that are within the family were very glad to attack him repeatedly and have that be weaponized. But that doesn't represent the full breadth of the family, which is quite large. And but Bobby comes out and basically, to my ear and eyes, takes a position that there is still, the way I phrase it is a pre-Carter Democrat Party that he calls Kennedy Democrats. So this is pre-Reagan, pre-Carter, pre-Thatcher, put it in your context, and still very much kind of great society with an environmentalist spin to it because, of course, his experience in waterkeepers, which is absolutely valid. I mean, he's a real environmentalist, not one of these fake carbon credit kind of guys that are, using that for some other surreptitious economic agenda. But he comes out really strongly in endorsing and speaking about kind of great society agenda. And I'm not okay with that, frankly. I'm increasingly, as I said, spinning off into the Murray Rothbard Austrian School of Economics. How much do we really need the state kind of way of thinking,
Yeah.
which I think is probably a little more aligned with where you're coming from.
Yes.
And so I pulled back, is the honest truth. And at one point there was advocacy that I should endorse him that came through a third party. And Jill and I didn't feel comfortable with that. There was too many moving parts. And we had asked him some questions about Agenda 2030 that he kind of dodged, and that gave us a pause. And then we kind of were separate. Gavin's a friend. We spend time with Gavin, and he talks to us about the candidacy, and so does Tony Lyons, who became operationally the head of that super PAC, who's my publisher at Skyhorse. And I corresponded with him 3 times this morning, I think, about audiobooks. We talk, but I'm not in the inside, and I haven't been for a long time. Matter of fact, I had this bizarre attack, a year ago from this, how do I say, blogger, let's say, an active social media presence. I'll just call her Karen, who made the assertion that I had put a hit out on her on social media with the CIA, and that they were poisoning her. She did this as a stream on Rumble, and implored that Bobby Kennedy, who I was an advisor for, she asserts falsely, should please get Robert to call off the CIA hit. This thing gets translated into 4 or 5 different languages. It goes viral all over the world. I'm getting constant blowback, and I first learned about it because the campaign calls me and says, "What the hell is this all about?" Well, metaphorically, they didn't say quite that way, but they said, "What is this all about? And can't you do something about it?" But then that's all. They didn't back me up or put out an announcement or anything. I had to handle it myself. Well, that's okay. But again, it kind of left me a little cold. So time goes by, and out of the blue recently, I get a text, an email from this person that I've never heard of before, Nicole Shanahan, who wants me on a podcast, wants me to come out to Malibu for a podcast. I'm like, oh God, I don't want to travel to California right now, let alone Malibu. And I'm like, I don't even know this person. And then my wife looks at the email and she's like, "Robert, don't you know who this is?" This is Bobby's VP candidate. So I go out there and really enjoy the podcast with her and learning more about her and her whole history of having been married to one of the founders of Google, and having an autistic child, and her journey, and then her investing in basically paying for Bobby's Super Bowl commercial, and being brought into the campaign. So then I start getting a little more immersed into it, but still uncomfortable, and I'm surrounded in a weird way, paradoxical, for somebody who used to, at one point, was a registered Democrat. I'm another one of these that's flipped, which is like becoming a wave now. And I don't know how many CPACs I've spoken at now, 4 or 5. And Matt Schlapp was just texting to me this morning, getting advice for somebody that can build an addition to his house, which is like 5-10 miles from our farm here. And it's a bizarre world. So I'm now kind of embraced by a lot of important conservatives. And so I just was uncomfortable endorsing anybody. But then when Trump how soon we forget the assassination attempt, which
Yeah.
has all the hallmarks of being state-sponsored, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll just put that as a working hypothesis that I think has a lot of data supporting it.
How how
And then,
how did you react to that in the moment? I'm just curious, Robert.
so I was actually on Gavin's boat in the Med at the time.
Okay.
And that means that I was kind of ahead of the curve in terms of timing because I was on kind of Central European time.
That would have been late because I saw it on Twitter right before I went to bed on a Saturday night in the UK. You would have been an hour ahead, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this comes across and as not immediate, but pretty close to immediate coming across in our video feed because Jill and I have to put out our subs whether or not we're on vacation or on a boat somewhere, the Substack has got to go out
Every day.
every single day.
I love it.
So this comes across and I'm like, oh, we got to jump on this. And I just dove into the information feed and it was coming fast. I mean, X was just on it. The reporting of X compared to any of the mainstream media just blew it away. And so I collected this into a Substack that really was huge in terms of subscriptions and reads and all that kind of stuff. So my reaction, I mean, I was watching in real time the discussion about where the shooter was and reporting on it, basically. I got a lot of kudos for basically doing good initial reporting and the discussion about the second shooter and the water tower and the positioning and the triangulation and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it was just swimming in a flood of data coming at me through X and trying to sort through that, capture it. I have a friend that's from South Africa who is even more of a denizen of social media than I am, and she was pushing stuff at me because she has other people on her feed. And so that was my experience of those events. And then the question about the water tower, the other shooter, the triangulation, who actually, the time delay between the shooter's presence on the roof and when it was taken out and whether or not that was a consequence of line of sight problems with trees obstructing. And then it started coming out about the cop that had climbed the ladder, been confronted by a kid with a long gun, and then fell off the ladder, and there's no consequences. The whole thing is just bloody bizarre. And then they take out the shooter, ostensible shooter, and with a time delay after the shots, and the images that come, out of that almost immediately have the long gun about 6 feet away from the shooter who's just been killed. That just doesn't add up. Okay. And then the denialism and obfuscation about the casings. And then the immediate, like within 24 hours, they were pressure washing that bloody roof. Now, if that's not destroying evidence, I don't know what is.
Wow.
And there's just a whole cascade of things that have come out since then that don't add up. Unless, and I'm now, Gavin said to me on the boat the other day, a while ago, how many other things can we no longer believe or we have to question? Because once you're in this, and we covered in the book, there's some statements from the UK from influencers and leaders that have spoken to Parliament and the government, in which they're making the case that once someone is questioning the narrative, then it kind of triggers an opening to questioning many other narratives, such as, for instance, the assassination of Bobby's uncle.
Yeah.
Which is another thing that's come out in this. We talk about it in the book as kind of a seminal event in the whole psyops that's been played on the American public by their government ever since. And because it's such an egregious example in Operation Mockingbird and all that stuff. But you ask, where was I in that stream of data? There's your answer, is I was just swimming in it, trying to capture it and record it and make sense out of it in a responsible way so that I wasn't getting ahead of the data and my skis
Right.
with my readership, which was a bit of a challenge.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.